So I managed to fix the marmoset scene. As you can see, this place is looking nice. It seems that marmoset have problems when two UV shells are reused and they meet each other in the middle. So what you just have to do is select this shell and this one and just drop it one tile to the right or to the left, and the problem will be solved. So, but this might be just only my problem. Okay, so one thing I want to do as well is go to the grain folder and cut off the grain on the seam. But I don't have mask for that. So I guess I'll go to the decals folder and turn on the normal channel, and okay, I guess I have to put it above the grain right there. Yep, let's call it line. Now the normal channel is turned on. Now let's go to the normal channel here and set to normal and the folder to normal as well. Now you can see this. Now we have the seam masked off. Let's find out. Yep, here it is. What I can actually do is duplicate it again and turn off the height, so I have only normals blocking, which gives me a more this clean result. And I think I would like to make this seam a bit darker. So let's use the same guy here. Go to the diffuse channel and here as well. Set to overlay, same as folder, and turn it darker, but not too much. You can turn on and off the diffuse channel to see any difference. Yeah, now there is a difference. Okay, this looks better. All right, so another thing I want to do is to do those grooves a bit darker color. So let's create a new folder, call it darker grooves. Leave only diffuse, add black mask, add fill, and let's find our mask here, like so. Turn it to overlay and set it a bit darker, like this. And let's add another fill. I want these areas to be the same. Turn them to screen. And thought I used the correct one. No, I need this one. Right. Yep, it's darker. Guess it's kind of too dark. Let's go to the diffuse channel. and turn it darker just slightly. That's too much, like this. Turn on and off this thing to see if that makes any difference. Can go a bit darker as well. I think I would blur it just a bit because the borders are too sharp. Yeah, that looks better. So okay, so I've added a couple more references here, this and this one. This one taken from the video on forgotten weapons. This is a HKG11 caseless rifle, caseless shooting rifle. So I really like these parts over here, those glossy scratches and on the edges. So what I like to do is trying to replicate that kind of effect just a bit. So let's create a new layer on top of that. Call it wear edges. So let's turn off everything except normal map and go to the normal map channel and set to normal so that we will cut off the grain texture. And let's turn on glossiness. All right, go to the gloss channel and turn it down just a bit so that we still have this grainy on gloss. All right, and now let's apply a generator. Basically, I always use metal edges and dirt in all kind of cases, or just a custom one. So at this point, let's use a metal edge generator, and you see already this pretty neat and cool effect when the grain is cut off over here as a result of wear. And this part becomes a bit more glossy because it's been weared, and this part, for example, always is always touches something, for example a holster or something, so you just tear it up. So this is pretty cool effect. Let's go into mask, and I actually want to do diffuse so that I could see better. Yeah, and obviously this is too much. Let's go to this. Now you can see why it's so nice to have exploded version, so you can go to the frame and just see the result on the frame. So another cool trick I like to use, for example, if you have this generator applied, I go to and add a paint layer, drop it lower before the generator, and turn the generator to multiply. So now whenever I paint in this paint layer, it will just highlight the generated information, as you can see here, which is really cool. It's much easier to paint your generator information just where you need it, compared to when you apply a generator and then add a paint layer on top of that and then mask out what you don't need. I think this is much easier and more appropriate way. So let's paint those areas that I want to be affected. pretty sure this area is heavily damaged because of the attachments that are added to the gun, and this area is touching the holster all the time, so it have to be weird. Try always to think about the logic so that interior parts are not going to be affected because they are not touching anything in real world, so try to keep in mind that. So this area will be heavily touched, but not this one, right? Hope that makes sense. Right there. I turned on the diffuse map for now just to make this mask more clear so that I could see the result. This one is going to be heavily damaged, as you always drop your mag with this area right there. Also like to turn down the flow so that there was like these really slight transitions. All right. You can see the difference between textile density because the map is the same, but the UV shells here are much bigger and here are much smaller. But that's okay because we don't see this part anymore any that often. So let's double check on both sides. Let's add some here, not here. Right there. Maybe some here. Right. Okay. Okay, this looks nice. Now let's go and turn off the diffuse. And it's kind of cool, but you cannot see it that good, so I guess I'll go to the diffuse map, set it to overlay, turn on it, and let's go into diffuse channel and make it lighter, like this, so that you would actually see some sort of a result. But don't go too far with this because it might be too much. Add just enough on the diffuse so that you could see it, but not that much so that it will be too much, you know. All right. So what else I want to do here is just to play with the generator, see what can I do here, what kind of result I can get. Yeah, the less grunge amount you add, the more soft edges will be. And let's see how it looks with the soft. So somewhere in the middle is best. Like so. So for now I'm doing just the base material. I'm not touching something like super unique or something like that. Just general material. I guess I should paint some more on this area right there, like so, and maybe this, not this. Some there. Guess I can go more at these pin parts. Let's assume that it was disassembled some multiple times, so there might be markings on the edge right there. All right. I'm always double checking the reference. As you can see right there, there's a really cool effect right here. It's like a white, thin white level, like layer on top of the plastic, which is scratched, something like that. I think, how can that effect can be achieved? Also, you can see a nice color variation because this area is kind of reddish, this one is kind of black. Same here, this, you can see the red part and the gray part. This is nice effect. Okay, let's try and add something like that. Also, a good tip, always add those random light spots or dots, just like that. This is pretty nice. And that thing happens all the time on any kind of surface. So let's go and do that. Create a new layer. Call it random spots light. Turn off everything except diffuse. And turn it to overlay. Make lighter. Add black mask. Fill. And let's search for a proper mask. Dirt. Let's try this one. So here's the mask, and that's too dense. Let's add levels and do something like this. Turn on the diffuse map. This looks kind of not bad, but it's too rare. I want to add more of that, so a good way to do that, just duplicate it and call it 2 and just rotate your mask like so, so you have more of that. Duplicate it again, light 3, and rotate it more. Now you have more of these guys. You can play with levels more. You can play with scale. Yeah, this thing adds like variation and more interesting way of looking. Okay. So I think those are even too bright. Turn down the diffuse a bit more, like so. Okay, let's add some color variation that I was showing just before. Create a new layer. Leave only diffuse. Go to black mask, add generator, metal edge wear. This is going to be another trick. So what I want to do is just mask out the edges. So for example, this kind of result, and then I just invert the whole mask like so. So that you see the masked out edges, and we have only inner parts like so. Can add more or less grunge. Like so. Just play with this mask. Guess somewhere like this. Now let's do the color, the proper color. Let's do some sort of reddish tone for this. That's obviously too much, but it's just like the direction I want to go. Orange, reddish, something like that. Now let's just tone down this guy and see, and leave it at the proper amount only when it's slightly seen, like this. Let's go and see the side view right here, if we can see this thing here. It's kind of too light. I want to darken it down. Some sort of like this. That's too much. Like so. And obviously I don't want this thing be everywhere, so I'll do the same trick. Add a paint layer, and at this point there's less places where I want to be for it, so I'll just mask out with the black one on top of it without moving it lower. So I don't want it to be here, that's too obvious. And I guess somewhat like this. Yeah, this looks much better with a clean handle, and I want to clean it here on those areas. Now let's cut it here. Right there. You can see that diffuse map now looks much more interesting with this layer. Without it, with it. Doesn't make that much difference, but it creates more interest. And I think that's too much. Okay, let's try and desaturate this, if there'll be any point in that. Just make it darker. Not different by the tone, but just darker, because that reddish is not looking the best. No, darker is not the best. Let's just desaturate it just a bit and make it darker. Can go try a different tone. How about dark brown? Well, it looks better on just flat diffuse map, but not with applied material, and like with all the maps. So, okay, I'm not sure about this. Let's save it and export to Marmoset and see how it's gonna look like there, because right now in Substance the grainy texture looks too noisy. In Viewport I cannot fix that. However, I'm pretty sure it's going to look much better in Marmoset. Export. Okay. Give it some time. Right, the normals are flipped. Okay, whatever, just flip it here. It looks better in Marmoset, I would say. You can see that color variation. Those spots are too much, just for my taste. Or, I don't know, at this distance this looks nice. Going that close up, it's not that good. Okay, so while I'm in Marmoset, what I want to do is just go and adjust my camera settings with post effects. I usually go a bit more contrast, like so, and add some sharpening, but not too much, like this. And I like to add some grain. Yep, but not that much. Grain, a bit vignette. Yeah, okay. Okay, so color variation looks nice, I guess. But I don't like those spots, they're too bright. Let's fix those. These guys, right there. Let's just go to each layer and tone it down. Like this. Yeah, now they are a bit more subtle. Let's export those again and see how does it look. Okay. Yeah, now it looks perfect. You can still see those guys over there, but they're not that bright and they look really good. So one thing I forgot is to add this cool edge effect on the magazine, because this part is going to be heavily used. So let's go back into here, and or even here. Yeah, it's better be this one. Let's go to where edges, and right, you can see that grain over here. I don't need it on the metal part, so let's just to avoid that, just add a paint layer, make it black, and just cut it off like this with 100% flow. Yep, like so. Now let's go back to where edges, make softer, and let's do this. Because this part of the magazine is going to be heavily damaged. So let's go into the mask, or not the mask, better channel to see the result, I would say so. And I think it's obviously not enough. I need more of this effect right here, so I'll create another layer, call it where edges mag, and delete the paint layer, add a new one right there, and let's crank up the wear level on this thing and do the painting over here like so. All right, and now let's adjust the mask. So let's decrease the grunge amount. What I want to achieve is just this thick edge, but with not that much of a grunge. You can just scale it up. No, this is scaled down to like so. Yeah, this looks better. Okay, let's check out on the material. Whoa, that's too much. Let's crank it down. Yeah. This looks better, and let's turn diffuse up so that there will be visible difference. Not that much, but enough. So let's see this thing here. Yeah, this looks better now. Much more interesting. And I think I want to continue this part right there, because obviously this part is going to be used heavily as well. So I want this to be wary as well. And let's try to do the same for the edges on the grip there, but not the grooves inside. Mask those out like so. Let's do the same on the front. I'm doing this by clicking, then shift, hold, and click again, and it will make a line. Like so. Yeah, this looks better. Okay, so we are getting there. What I want to do now is just to try to add this like white tint, or how to call it. These are different models of guns, so I'm just thinking which way is the better. Well, I think I want to turn down the grain. It's too much right now for my taste. Let's tone it down. Normal intensity 58. Nope. Yeah, this weighs. $23. I'm not sure if it's better or not. There's too much wear over here, so let's go and fix that. Slight edges, no, wear edges. Yes, this one. So let's add a paint layer and turn it black and turn down the flow really much. And just go slightly with this. Yeah, like so. Let's see the mask. Just tones it down to a gray color. Now let's do the edges. Turn the flow to the maximum. Right, select the paint layer before that. Right, no. Select the razor tool because we want to annihilate what I did here. Then go to black again. Yeah, this is really delicate, like, process. You do not want to make it look generic or generated or something, so it should be looking unique. Okay, so the color variation here looks nice. Let's go and try to add some dirt, like here. Thick, like kind of dusty dirt. So let's create a new layer. Call it dirt. Turn off everything except diffuse and gloss. Make it darkish gray, brown. And turn down the glossiness. It's kind of red. Yeah, brown. Like so. Add a black mask. Add generator, dirt. And let's go to the mask editor. And now let's play with the mask. Let's turn on the dirt contrast. Obviously this is not the final result, but I like to have this that dark so that I could see actually what is going on. Find the reference better. Obviously I want to go something like this. You see that part over there or over there. So turn down the contrast. Turn the crunch amount. Somehow it does not do what I would like to have. This is tricky to get the proper result right here. Let's try and add some levels on top of that. Yeah, now it starts to look a bit better. Okay, let's start from the start because I don't like it. Okay, let's go with this one. Let's call it dirt markings because it's not going to be used everywhere. Add a paint layer on the bottom. Let's turn the diffuse lower. No, can't get it right. See, Right, turn the overlay. And desaturate. Oh, this looks ugly. Now turn this to multiply and paint on this area. As well as this one. And those grooves as well. Like so, and on the front part as well. Now let's turn on and off this part and see if it makes any difference. Well, it actually does. Not that much as I wanted, but it does something. Right there. Okay. So it's kind of okay here and here, but it's too much over there. So I'll add a paint layer, turn it black, and turn the flow to lower, and just do this. So that it's still there, but not that much, because it's too strong. Also, let's go to the eraser tool and just try to find that perfect spot between too much and not that strong. Like so. Yeah, guess that looks better. There's also a thing I want to do with these guys here. So let's create a folder called grip darkening. Add a black mask, add a fill, and let's use uh, this texture right there. Now let's add a layer. See, it works only for these guys. And let's add a black mask, add a generator, dirt. What I want to do is just make those parts on the back not glossy. Alright, so turn on the edge masking to the top. Well, actually, yeah, I want to change the generator. Let's do a custom generator. And turn on the curvature to the max. Invert it. Like so. Now let's play with those sliders here. Come on. Or I could go to cavities. Yeah, this is what I wanted. Yes, exactly. Add levels. Yeah, I want those top guys to stand out a bit more. Yeah, like this. Now let's go and turn off everything except diffuse and gloss. Diffuse, go to overlay, same for the folder. And this is going to be dark, at least darker, and not glossy. Now let's see, let's turn on and off. How about without diffuse? Let's go in general, global balance, turn on a bit more, and go to glossiness. Okay, let's turn glossiness to overlay as well. Yeah. Let's keep it like so for now. No, without diffuse. I don't want diffuse. So I think I want to add some more gloss variation. Let's find this. Who is this guy? Oh, it's a color variation. Yeah. Gloss variation. Here it is. And let's add some pretty much the same thing, but with bigger pattern. So let's go to procedurals and add some sort of like this one. And let's see. Right, the mask is too big. Scale it. Turn off levels. Right. Yes, that's good. This is nice. Creates this nice irregularity on the gloss map. You can see when you turn on and off. Does a good job. Okay, so let's save. So let's create a bit more glossy like areas. Let's call it more gloss. Save on the gloss channel, like so. Add a black mask. Go into paint, and for these purposes I like to use these Cement 1 brush. Turn down position jitter and size jitter, like so, and just add a paint layer, and let's paint that more glossy area. So obviously when you grab the gun, this part is going to be a bit glossier. For example, like here, you rub this too much, so it turns a bit more glossy. Let's go into gloss channel and see the result. Yep. Here as well. And I guess somewhere there. Now let's check it out. Does it make any difference? Kinda does. Let's try to do this with overlay so that we're not going to lose anything underneath that. Yeah, that's better. So this material starts to looking better. Let's double check the reference. So another thing that I like to add on top of our everything is just those random bumps and scratches, but really small. Let's call it random bumps, and leave the diffuse only. Add a black mask, add fill, go to procedurals, and there is this nice mask we have for that, which is grunge scratches. Let's try this one. Now I would like to play with it. Now let's just play with the parameters of this texture. Scratch width, dust to 0. Alt click on the mask just to see it. Double scratch off. Scratch spots on, scratch length. Yeah. So this is how it should look like. Yep. You can always add some levels just to make this thing stronger. Alright, now let's add some scale. Like so. And add more levels so that you could actually see what you did here. Like so. And turn on diffuse to overlay. Yes, and turn on height. Make it like those tiny scratches and damage. Like this. Let's play a bit more with these parameters so that this could actually be seen, because it was masked out too much. Yeah, something like this. Okay, so let's duplicate this layer and rotate the mask so that there were more of these guys. Add a paint layer and just erase those guys from unnecessary places. Like so. Yeah, you can see those tiny details there too, which look pretty not bad. So what I want to do now is just do some more of these guys, but larger at scale. So you know, like this, but not that bright on the diffuse. Somewhat like this. Same for these guys, too bright on diffuse. Yep. So now you can see that random bumps, they look gives more interest. And what I actually want to do is just to add more contrast to this layer. I mean, this color variation, let's do it just a tiny bit darker so that you could actually add more scene of this. Oh, come on. Somewhere there. Let's save this guy and see in the marmoset. Yeah, this looks good. You can see those tiny scratches, and there you cannot see those like from big distance, but close up it creates that like a bit wary look, so it does a good job. So what I want to do now is just create another color variation like this one, but just a bit different, and apply it to the bottom part of the gun. Well, this actually looks really not bad on this part right there. It's a bit too much on here, but this looks good. Okay, I will keep this guy and just mask out the unnecessary parts where it's too much. Here. But it looks kind of cool on here. And I guess I kind of like this color tone right there on the magazine. I'm thinking I guess I should do the whole gun with this color.